Hello, I have a few things to say about the start of the new school year. The Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk has quite sensibly announced that she has no intention of sending primary school children back to school at the peak of this wave of the COVID pandemic. In contrast, New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet announced today that children would be going back to the classroom on day one of the first term. Now, as a doctor, this really disturbs me, and I'll tell you why. Classrooms are crowded and most are poorly ventilated. Those problems could be mitigated with CO2 monitoring, improved ventilation and air purifiers, but that work has not been completed. Primary school children are still mostly unvaccinated, and there are supply issues with the vaccine, and that means that most children will not be vaccinated before the start of term. The long-term implications of even mild COVID infection for a child, including long COVID, are still largely unknown. Even if a child is vaccinated, they can still transmit the infection to teachers, to parents, to grandparents and other caregivers. And some of those adults could be medically vulnerable. If children become sick, their caregivers have to stay home from work during their isolation period. If caregivers become sick, who looks after the sick children? With the high numbers of people in the New South Wales community with COVID, and with those numbers expected to continue to rise, many teachers may have COVID or become close contacts, and there'll be fewer teachers available to work in classrooms. There will be logistical problems getting all teachers to have a third dose before the start of term. Sending children back to a classroom at the peak of a pandemic makes absolutely no sense. This announcement is not about keeping people safe, it's a recipe for chaos. All school children will need to wear masks, and the role of rapid antigen testing will also need to be enhanced. Return to primary school classrooms should be delayed until vaccination levels are optimal and mitigation measures are completed, and this wave of the pandemic has passed.